Hey there, and welcome to Ruthfull's Art Corner. I'm your host, Ruthfull, also known as Ruthfull LA. Check out my live stream on Twitch, follow me on Instagram, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for all kinds of art-related content. My name is Ruthfull, and we just finished with our art news, and now we're going to begin our art history section. Now, normally I wouldn't be putting one of these big content warnings up there, but I am putting it up there to be sensitive for our viewers. Since this is a live stream, I can't control who is watching, so I do want anyone who is watching to just be aware that I'm putting a content warning on the rest of this broadcast, and it's for mature audiences only, please. That's because today's Art History for You and Me segment will contain brief mentions of sexual assault as well as depictions of nudity and violence. There will be a fair amount of depictions of nudity and violence, but it's really the mentions of sexual assault that I have the content warning for, and so I am going to let you guys know when that particular portion is coming up, and the reason that it has to be in there, that we can't just omit it, first of all, that's not the kind of channel I want to have. I want to talk about all of the aspects of the person's life, all of the aspects of what was going on in society at the time. You know, everything should be fair game when it comes to discussing an artist, and so there is that. Also, the content of the artwork does lend itself sometimes to the violence and the nudity, so putting that out there. So like I said, I'm going to give another warning before the portion dealing with the sexual assault. Please mute the stream during that portion if the subject matter is too distressing or mature for you. If not, no worries, stick with me. But if it is, once I get to that portion, I will let you know so that you can listen to the rest of it and just, you know, mute for a portion. All right. I'm glad that we have now covered that. And again, if you are watching and you are engaged by this fantastic and cat's pajama-y content, please give me a follow. I'm currently on a mission, a side quest, if you will, to get to 50 followers. So if you are not already, you can go ahead and hit the follow button that is just below me, probably kind of more over there. But yeah, that would be super great. It is okay to be a lurker in the chat. You don't have to say anything, but please, if you can, give me a follow. It helps me out. All right, now that we've got all of that housekeeping stuff out of the way, let's talk about Artemisia Gentileschi. Here are a couple of her most famous works. Let's talk about her life. Now, join us on the path to 50 followers. Yes, that's right. Already done, and I don't regret it. Well, thank you. It's JC. I appreciate that, and I am really happy that you are along for this journey. I'm sure we'll pick up at least one follower during the next however long it takes me to get through this presentation. Fingers crossed. All right, so Gentileschi was born in Rome and sadly lost her mother at an early age. She turned to art around that same time, which makes sense. Her dad was now a single parent, and easier to just keep her around than send her off to do something else. Turns out she showed more talent and enthusiasm than her brothers who worked in the studio alongside her. So from an early age, working on art, she showed a lot of promise. She was taught and encouraged by her father, Orazio Gentileschi, and he himself was a painter from Pisa. His own style, which influenced hers, was heavily influenced by Caravaggio, who was essentially a contemporary of them. Them's the facts. Now, Gentileschi is classified as an Italian Baroque painter and is often called the greatest female painter of the Baroque age, but I'm just going to cross that out. Look at that. We don't need that female in there. How about just the greatest painter of the Baroque age? Now we can get into a discussion about it, but we don't have to limit it to just female, okay? All right, so we're getting to the content warning part. This is the place where if you would like to avoid topics of sexual assault, you should mute the little content warning box that is up there that's going to move over a little bit. It'll be above me, but it'll go away once we have finished with that particular part of her story. All right, so you want to mute yourself if it's an issue. 4, 3, 2, 1, right now. So here we go. In 1611, when Gentileschi was approximately 22 years old, she was raped by another artist named Tassi. Some historians say he was her tutor, while others say he merely worked alongside her father on a large project. In either case, afterward, she and her father were led to believe he was going to marry her to maintain her honor, and after he didn't, Orazio pressed charges. I'm assuming he had to be the one to press charges and not her, just because of the patriarchy, but as far as history records it, he's the one who pressed charges. During the ensuing 7-month trial, it was discovered that Tassi had planned to murder his wife, so I guess he was married, engaged in adultery, as we see, also had engaged in adultery with his sister-in-law, scandalous, and planned to steal some of Orazio's paintings. At the end of the trial, Tassi was exiled from Rome, although the sentence was never carried out. So he kind of disappears from the story at this point. I didn't do a further deep dive on what happened to him, but something happened to him. Apparently he didn't have to leave Rome, but whatever. He definitely was put through the ringer, it seems. He was held accountable, but didn't get a whole lot of satisfactory knowledge from my research on that front. 7-month trial, though. My goodness. It gets worse. At the trial, Artemisia was tortured with thumb screws with the intention of verifying her testimony. Yeah, so the thumb screw, I actually didn't look this up because I don't feel like I need to know more about it, but it sounds like a screw and your thumb, and it's a torture device, and it was to prove that she was telling the truth. Yeah. Yeah. I know. Owie. Owie. I agree. No good. Like, I'm glad we've evolved past that part of the justice system. Jeez. I have included here this artwork that she painted, Susanna and the Elders. This was a theme that we saw in a number of paintings from that time, but this is her take on it, and man, those guys are creepy, and her protagonist is just having none of it. Having absolutely none of it. All right, the content warning is gone. We have now passed over that portion, so if you muted us for a moment, welcome back. After the trial, she married a guy named Pier Antonio Stiazzi, who was an artistic model from Florence, which I take to mean he was hot. Soon after, they moved to Florence. Now, I didn't look him up. I don't know if he was actually hot, but if he was an artistic model, you know, I'm just going with that. She flourished in Florence and had many wealthy patrons, including the Medici. She learned to read and write and befriended the scientist and astronomer Galileo Galilei. She's saying, for fuck's sake, would you guys just stop already? I agree. I mean, wow. Now, in 1615, during this Florentine period, while pregnant, she was commissioned by Michelangelo Buonarroti the Younger, who was not Michelangelo the painter, but was in fact a younger relative of his, along with other Florentine artists, to decorate the ceiling of his new Casa Buonarroti to celebrate his famous uncle. It's pretty cool. She's pregnant, but she's getting commissions. She's a working lady. Not that kind of working lady, but you know what I mean. She was reportedly paid 3 times as much as any of the other participating artists, and you can bet most of them were men, so good job, her. A lot of times, certain histories of her like to paint her as this victim, this tortured victim, but we're seeing here, just a few years after the trial, she was pregnant, she was married, she was getting commissions, she was getting paid more than her contemporaries. The piece that she did for the commission is here on this side, and it is the Allegory of Inclination. She painted that in 1615. Very pretty. And I believe you can still see it today. Should have taken better notes on that front. Also painted during this period, Self-Portrait as a lute player. That's also from 1615. And I want to point out, she used herself as a model a lot of the times. Now, that was something that the male artists, they did sometimes, but they didn't do it as often as she did. Was it for economical reasons, because then she didn't have to pay a model? Was it because she was making a feminist stand before her time, saying, I am here, see me? Who knows? You know, we don't have concrete evidence one way or the other what her motivation was, but we do know that she appeared in a lot of her pieces. Here she is again, the self-portrait as Saint Catherine of Alexandria. That one's from 1619. Now, during this period, Gentileschi painted arguably her most famous painting. This is Judith Slaying Holofernes. Today, you can see it on view in the Uffizi, which is in Florence. According to the internets, the date on this painting is 1614 to 1620, so that might mean that they don't know exactly when she painted it and they just attribute it to the whole slice of time she was in Florence, because after 1620 she goes back to Rome. But maybe it took her that long. I mean, personally, a couple of my art pieces have taken that long, 6 years. Now that's because I would work on it for a while and then stop working on it for a while and then come back and then stop and then come back and, you know, get distracted by other projects. Stuff happens. With a lot of her other works, the dates are not known, or they're kind of given in these multi-year periods. Judith and her maidservant are working together to overcome male oppression in this painting. They are working together to slice that throat. Here you see another painting, kind of like if we were watching a comic strip or we were reading a comic strip, this would be the next square, the next page. Judith and her maidservant, which was painted in 1625, is currently in the collection of the Detroit Institute of the Arts. So again, the two ladies are working together to take care of business. So yeah, it is available there in Detroit. So if anyone is in that general region, they can go see it. Here we have this Judith Slaying Holofernes. Let's compare her version with some other artists painting the same scene, including Caravaggio. As we will see, this is a scene that is very popular in art, and so a number of other artists did it, and let's see how they stack up, shall we? Well, you know what I can do to get out of the way of this painting? Because now it looks like his blood is just splurting on me. So let's shrink me down and I'll make me bigger again later. Okay, it's like a Gwar concert. Oh, because of the blood spurting. At first I thought you meant because of the size of the camera getting bigger and smaller, and I was like, I don't understand. But the blood splurting, yes, it is exactly like being at a Gwar concert, and I would know because I have been to exactly one Gwar concert on behalf of my partner, whom I love very much, and that was all I ever need to do. It was very fun, but yeah, it's not my scene, but whenever he wants to go to another one, I support him. As you can see, same scene painted very, very differently on the, I guess, the right on your screen. Yeah, what you're seeing is what I'm seeing. On the right is hers, and then on the left is his. And I am actually going to be sharing the link to a video that does a really interesting and very intelligent deep dive on her painting and compares it to his, because he was a contemporary. His style influenced hers through her father, and so it's a very natural comparison to make. And I'm going to share the link to that video at the end of this presentation, but I just wanted to point out a couple of things that just jump right out at me. And the first one is the facial expression and body language that Judith has. In her version, Judith is determined, she is getting down to business, she is slicing and dicing and doing what needs to be done, whereas in his version, she looks worried, she looks grossed out, she really doesn't look like she's exerting enough force to be overpowering a man who is larger than her. But yeah, they're just the intention, the ferocity, the intensity, just very, very different. And so I found that very striking. It's JC. I admit it's always a surprise to find those artworks dropping in Occupy White Walls suddenly between two artwork selections. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, I personally love whenever I find multiple versions of the same scene, trying to juxtapose them on the wall. But yeah, I agree. I agree. In fact, in one of my galleries, I have the Scream. I have Munch's The Scream, and then somebody did like a really trippy psychedelic version, and I have them next to each other. And then I have the same actually with the Mona Lisa in the same gallery, different areas, now that I think about it. That's interesting. So I think the remix version is by the same artist. In a future stream, I will definitely be doing some tours of my gallery along with tours from other people's galleries. So if you are an Occupy White Walls player and you are watching this right now, feel free to put it in the chat what your gallery is, or hit me up on the Occupy White Walls Discord. Let me know the name of your gallery, and I would love to do a tour of your gallery. Going back to these two paintings, another thing that really jumps out at me is the blood splurting. I mean, maybe Caravaggio didn't do very many studies of the actual physics behind blood splurts, but it's almost like silly string is like coming out of his neck, just like, you know? But in hers, you've got the parabolic arcs, which, according to the video that I'll be sharing with you guys later, the link, lol, it's very anime. I agree, yeah, it's got kind of like a cartoony vibe, right? Whereas hers is much more naturalistic, and apparently it's possible that she learned about the parabolic arch, the parabola, from her friend Galileo Galilei. So there you go. You didn't know he was coming back, but there he is. He made a comeback. So there you go. A couple things that are just different right off the bat. The blood splatter, the body language. Yeah, it's just a different scene. One, Judith is not afraid to get her hands dirty because she knows that what she's doing is a dirty business. The other one is trying really hard to keep her dress clean. So, you know, which one was painted by the man, which one was painted by the woman. All right, let's do some more comparison. Now, let's see Gentileschi versus Botticelli. Same story, different part of the story though. Botticelli was not about to show the actual beheading. This is Judith with the head of Holofernes. So it's up there in the maidservant's little basket hat. I don't know if you can see it. It's not gory. Yeah, head on a platter indeed, but it's not gory. In fact, I think there's some like birds or other kind of woodland creatures down by her feet. They're just walking. There's out for a stroll. She's carrying a branch for some reason, because, you know, that makes sense. It's very spring fresh. Yes, so springy fresh. Which, I mean, Botticelli did a Primavera painting, and so he's clearly into the whole spring thing, but in this instance, it just doesn't make sense. There's no context for it. I think hers wins, hands down. Not that it's a competition, but there you go. That's just, again, the difference between a male portrayal and a female portrayal. Different era completely, 1470 versus, I think we said 1620. So, you know, tastes were different in art. So there you go. Next up, we have Gustav Klimt. I actually did not know that this was a Judith painting. I've seen it a million times, or, you know, a couple thousand times at least, but I didn't realize because I never really looked at the title. Now I know. Judith with the head of Holofernes. So that was painted in 1901. Again, it's very different, but this is now Edwardian times. It's only 1901, but women are definitely having more rights. They're exerting themselves more. They're allowed to be creative. They're allowed to be deadly, etc. So yeah, pretty cool. Both styles are completely different. It's funny to see what people can do with the same basis material. I mean, I agree. That's one of the things I love so much about art, is that even if I try to recreate someone else's art, it's going to look different because it's me doing it and it's not them. And actually, I am recreating a Frida Kahlo piece. On my last stream, it was behind me. It's currently in the closet because the cats want to attack it, but that's one of the things I'll be working on this stream. It's a newspaper mosaic, but even my attempts at recreating one of her paintings, it's still gonna look different. So yeah, I agree. It's very cool when artists can take the same subject matter, the same story, but maybe different parts of the story, or even the same moment, and just have a completely different interpretation. That's what makes art so very cool. Now, We've got Artemisia Gentileschi versus Kehinde Wiley. Do you know that name? You should know that name. That is the artist who did President Obama's portrait back in 2019. It was locally here in LA on a bit of a tour. So I think it now hangs in the National Portrait Gallery. But so here we go. This is a 2012. They're still doing this same story, but with a twist. We now have a protagonist of color. We've got a super dope background with very, very cool pattern and texture, which then also takes the scene outside of its context. It's now floating in its own little world. Yeah, and she's got a bit more carefree body language. She's not tense and struggling. I mean, makes sense. The head is already free. She's just swinging it. I love this one. I think it is very, very cool. So I think that is the end of my comparisons. Going back to her life, she's still in Florence. Hello, how's it going, Emerald? How are we doing? We're doing great. I hope you're doing great. Welcome to the channel. We are talking about Artemisia Gentileschi, who is one of my art icons. Very talented artist from the 17th century, 1600s. Now, she was the first woman accepted into the Florentine Academy of Fine Arts, which was a big deal. At this point in time, Florence, Firenze was like one of the big art capitals. The key thing to know about this being accepted into the Academy, other than the fact that she was the first, therefore paving the way for future artists, is that the status conferred by the Academy membership made it possible for her to buy supplies and sign contracts with clients in her own name, which was nearly unheard of for the time. So prior to that, somebody else had to be signing contracts both with clients, with vendors for the art supplies, like, I don't know, maybe even with her models. The density of knowledge. Yes, thank you, Emerald. Thank you. Yes, we are trying to share the knowledge and also share the passion. Because this is an art channel. We are big fans of art here. Sometimes we'll be creating art, sometimes we'll be playing art-related video games, and sometimes we'll be talking about art, like today. So I hope you enjoy it. Not too shabby. Great, that's good to hear. Ooh, you're in Sweden. Excellent. So we're getting more international viewers. Welcome. So it's nighttime where a few of you are, and it's mid-afternoon here. So that is very cool. And isn't the internet just really cool that we can have this conversation? I believe we've got a viewer in the Midwest as well. So we've got folks in all sorts of time zones. I dig it. She had a very successful career over about 40 years. One of her many patrons included King Charles I of England. And she even went there, lived there for a while, and worked. And then she was largely forgotten by art historians until the 1970s, and feminism in art brought attention back to her work. That's right. So again, she was forgotten about for a long time, even though she was very successful in her own time. And that's because, you know, male art critics talking about male artists, male directors of institutions. Yay! Thank you for the follow. Yes, thank you. With Gentileschi, much credit goes to Linda Nochlund's essay, Why Are There No Great Women Painters? Now, just to be clear, this question, of course, is rhetorical. There have been many great women painters. It's the institutions that have been lacking. So if it weren't for feminism in the 70s, we still, to this day, might not really know about her pieces. We've got a version of Lucretia here. It was painted in 1627, and it's currently on view at the Getty Center. This is exciting for me because the Getty is here in Los Angeles. However, she painted multiple versions of this particular story, and they actually look pretty different, which is interesting. Could have done a comparison of them, but I didn't. But instead, here we go. Here's the other one, or one of the other ones. So this painting, also titled Lucretia, recently sold for $2 million in 2018. So she is not some minor artist. She's actually now considered one of the old masters. Gentileschi was not a minor artist. Recently, $2 million. I mean, that's pretty good. And that was at auction, I should mention. Now, this self-portrait is one of her most famous. The self-portrait as the allegory of painting, that one she, I believe, painted for Charles I. And a tiny detail that you can't see in this video, that you can see in the video that I'm going to share in just a moment, not on the channel, but I'm just going to share the link. But anyway, she's got this bracelet, and it's got miniatures of the namesake goddess Artemis in the subject's bracelet. So that's how you know it is actually supposed to be her. Some art historians have said, I don't know, is that her? It looks a little different from some of the other ones that she's in. The body type's a little different, etc. But I think that the miniatures in the bracelet, that's basically like a signature. And a quote that is sometimes attributed to her, I have the spirit of Caesar in the soul of a woman. Here is that link, which I will also drop into the chat. This is a video that I actually got a fair amount of my information for. I also used various sources on the interwebs, but this is a great video from a channel called Great Art Explained. I'm a big fan of this channel. I follow them. They basically take one piece of art from a particular artist and then just do a deep dive on it, like a 15-minute section. So if you like this content, you'll really like their content because they are much slicker and more put together. But yeah, definitely check it out. The link is there in the chat, and that's to the one that he did on this specific piece of art, Judith Slaying Holofernes. But they have done a number of artists. They pick a piece of art by that artist. So, you know, if you have a favorite artist, they may have done a deep dive on one of the pieces of art. So it's worth checking out if this is something you're into. Also, if you have a favorite artist and you want to see me do one of these art history for you and me episodes on my Twitch page, which you're currently on, if you scroll down, you'll see there's a little suggestion box, and it's on the About Me page if you ever come back here on a day when I'm not live. And there's a suggestion box where you can suggest different artists, and then people can upvote at artists. So, you know, if you wanted to do that right now, if you want to scroll down, put in your favorite artist, other people can upvote it. That way I know who I should do a future episode about. I would really appreciate that. It would help me out a lot. And links to learn more. I could put all of these links into the chat, but you guys can also take a screenshot if you're really interested. Quite honestly, if you just put her name into Google, these links will come up. I really like wikiart.org just for looking at people's art, but Wikipedia is often a pretty comprehensive source for some artists just because they do that peer review goodness going on. I came across a couple of interesting books about her life that I will be checking out from my library just so I can get more knowledge, because her life was very interesting, especially being such an outlier that she was. I mean, so very few artists were working at that time that she must have had quite the reception from people. And then the time period was very interesting. The Italian Baroque period, there was a lot, I mean, you know, it's like peak Renaissance, right? Like, so many people were pushing the envelope in so many different ways. So, you know, I'm gonna look for some books on her. You can as well if you want to. As I said, here's some links. All right, so I want to mention my Stuck on You sticker giveaway. Trying to get to 50 followers, and thank you all for helping me out. I'm trying to reach 50 followers. That's the Twitch magic number. Once I hit that magic number of 50 followers, I'm gonna do a random draw giveaway for 2 of my followers. You don't have to be present to win. Just whenever it happens, I'll take a screenshot of my followers list and then pick 2 at random. Each was going to receive a sticker pack containing 5 stickers, plus a handwritten thank you card. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world, I am more than happy to mail these stickers overseas. So, you know, please share with your friends. That's how you can help. I think I got a little ahead of myself. How can you help? Share this channel with artists and art enthusiasts. If you know anyone who is into art, please send them to the link to this channel. Let them know that they can watch past videos so they can get an idea of what I am here doing. And yeah, put it on your social media. Invite others to the artsy farts community. I was thinking, ooh, the stickers are certified dope AF. Well, thank you. I agree. That's basically what they look like too. It's my little I Heart LA sticker. I will also be creating new stickers for this channel just because stickers are fun. Everybody loves them and they're cheap to mail. But so yeah, artsy farts is what I was thinking you all could be called, my followers. What do you think? You down to be the artsy farts? It's fun! Thanks for watching this video. I put all of the links down in the description so that you can check them out in your own time. Remember, if you want to chat with me while I deliver this content live, make sure to follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/RuthfullLA. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel to help me grow the artsy farts community.